It's HYLN video time, and I'm responding to a comment that reads, I like the effort, but are your calculations taking into account the different machines they have? Some are faster than others, some have more lasers than others, and as they stated in the latest earnings call, they're constantly improving the throughput time on the machines they have. Furthermore, they're increasing the number of newer machines from GE over time. Basically, I don't think HYLN is trying to hide anything about the time it takes to print a Carno. I think there's just too many variables to put a solid time frame on it. The calculations don't take into account the different machines. It's just that one machine that they showed in the video. And let's explore this a little bit more and see what they had to say during the earnings call, as well as some of the comments that they made after.
We actually have 3 different models of printers that we're putting in our facility here in Austin, and they're different generations. Think of each one being the successor to the previous generation. And another way to think about them is each generation is probably 2 to 3 times faster, roughly, and that depends on different things like laser power and the software code that dictates how the lasers move across the build plate. So we're actually going to have all 3 here in Austin. We have 2 of the 3 versions today.
They have generation 1 and generation 2 of the printers. Generation 3 is not there. I'm sure that Santa Claus is going to bring generation 3 in his sleigh, or maybe hoist it with a crane, but it's definitely not there yet.
And we're going to be taking delivery of the latest Calibrium machine here in the coming weeks, and that's we also have a lot of those on order for next year.
This is a picture from one of their recent posts on X, and it's, since generation 3 is not delivered yet, this must be generation 2, and this is an X-Line 2000R concept laser printer from GE Additive, which is now renamed to Calibrium. Here's a video of the 2nd generation machine, and this is the video from HYLN, and it definitely looks different, so this must be the 1st generation. And if you're just to compare the two, there's definitely a frame, like a border around the 2000R. Now, I can't really use timing on this because it looks like this video is sped up and slowed down in certain places, so I have to rely on what the CFO has to say.
Each generation is probably 2 to 3 times faster, roughly, and that depends on different things like laser power and the software code that dictates how the lasers move across the build plate. So
I'll make a revision to the guesstimate of how long it takes to print parts based on the comment that I received, because it's based on the 1st generation. And from the earnings call, there's currently a mix of 1st and 2nd generation machines. The 3rd generation is not there yet. If I were to add a speed column where the 2nd generation is twice as fast as and there's 3 machines for each generation, it cuts down the known time. And keep in mind that there's an unknown component in half. So instead of taking 6.2 days, it takes 3.1 days. And that's assuming that all the machines are working perfectly. There's no manufacturing defects. And then, of course, there's this unknown time component. So it essentially triples the number of Carno generators that you can produce at a time. But the thing is, we don't know how many of generation 1 and generation 2 that they're using. That's unknown.
In the coming weeks, we expect to take delivery of our first M-line production printers from Equilibrium Additive, a GE Aerospace company. These advanced printers, specifically designed for volume manufacturing, will significantly support our scale-up by providing more lasers, a larger print area, and enhanced production capacity. In parallel, we're working to improve the throughput of our existing machine, consolidating prints for greater efficiency and reducing the number of additive parts by transitioning select, less complex components to conventional manufacturing.
So during the earnings call, Thomas said that they're going to reduce the number of additive manufacturing parts by picking and choosing the simple ones and moving them over to conventional manufacturing.
As Josh mentioned, you really have four main components. Your linear motor, which is just coils and magnets, and then you have these three parts on the outside, which these are the parts made through additive manufacturing.
At least one of these components is on the chopping block. Which one is it?
Now, one of the questions we get asked a lot is, well, do you need to use additive? Can't you just do conventional manufacturing? And the unique thing with each one of these parts is there are geometries within these that really just offer major unlocks to get us that efficiency, to help improve the size of the system that you couldn't get if you made this through conventional manufacturing. So
if I were to take a guess, I would say that one is staying on the additive manufacturing table.
Josh, maybe to start us off, can you share a little history of where additive was 10 years ago, where we are? So the other question we get asked a lot is cost, right? So if we take a component like this one, from the outside, it looks really basic, right? But here's a cutaway of the inside, and you can see, that is extremely complex, right? You could only unlock that through additive manufacturing. You couldn't even make that through conventional practices.
That component is definitely staying on the additive manufacturing side, no question about that. And that leaves the part that they don't talk about. I suspect that will be transitioned to conventional manufacturing. Finessing this guesstimate spreadsheet even more based on this additional information, if they're going to transition printing parts to speed up the process of creating carnos, and instead of pinning one particular part on additive manufacturing, they'll switch it to conventional manufacturing. That means you just need one less machine to generate carno parts from each generation, and those could be repurposed to create additional additive manufacturing parts and even increase production volume even more.